Welcome to another edition of Very Vogue with me, Val Kleinhans. We have another Very Vogue guest in the building, Stina Turner, one of my good Instagram buddies. She's waving. She's ready. She's ready. I am so glad that she's here. We have been Instagram buddies for some time. And confession, I just wanted to do an excuse to talk to you. So I said, come on my podcast. That's pretty
Oh,
much it. Pretty much it right there.
well, like I was totally flattered when you hit that email and sent it. I was like, oh my God, hell yeah. Like I said, now it gives us a chance to kind of meet in real life. We've been Instagram friends for it feels like years. So
It
this is
does.
coming.
I know. Well, I followed you for the whole vibe, the clothes, the hair, everything. I was like, yes, she's my person. You inspired my shag haircut. And I was like, and you're kind
Oh,
of teaching me how, like for real, you're teaching me how to take care of the cut too. Mine's a little bit different because I just got a curtain bang going on. You got a full
yeah.
bang going on, but somewhat similar. But you're kind of sort of teaching me how to take care of it too. So we're gonna talk about all the things, but we should probably
Okay.
start at the beginning before we get too far ahead of ourselves. The Instagram journey, where does that begin for you?
I mean, honestly, it's just been a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
So it kind of started. I feel like 2017 was when I started to put a little bit more time into it. It's when I moved from Michigan to Texas, kind of started my life over, and didn't really know very many friends when I moved to Texas. Didn't really know a lot of
Mm.
people. So for me, kind of became that creative outlet outside of work for me to kind of put some time and energy into. And it's just really been a hobby since then. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
really kind of magical journey. I don't have a bajillion followers. This is just like for all fun. And then I think it kind of from there just kind of turned into how can I have authentic connections with people? And like yourself, like how do we meet people on this platform? How can we share knowledge? How can we inspire one another? And really that's what Instagram is has been for me for the last like 5+ years.
totally. And I think step number one to like finding your community, so to speak, is by presenting yourself as authentically as possible to begin with, because then other little tiny weirdo meatballs will find you just like I found you. And
Yeah. And then
well,
common, right? Like that's what kind of brings us all together.
it is. And that's what I love about it. What brought on, I don't know that I've ever asked you this, what brought on the move from Michigan to Texas?
I got a divorce. So yeah,
Oh,
starting life over and a fresh start.
okay, so we told him boy bye and we went and we were doing our own thing. We're in our queen
Yep,
era. Got
yep, living
it.
our Texas now.
There we go. And what do you love about shag haircuts? Because you have been rocking it since before it kind of became trendy within the last year or so again.
Yeah, thank you. I think just finding inspiration on Instagram, to be honest. And
Mm.
I've really been on this natural hair journey of like, I am so low maintenance. I don't want to spend time to like, I've never been like that girl who's like good at doing makeup or like curling her hair or whatever. So I was looking at honestly like, how can we embrace what I have, but do it better? And kind of came across the curly girl method. And then from there, that kind of just like went down a rabbit hole. And I was like, oh, shag haircuts, man. Like, this could really be something that fits my natural hair. And honestly, it was just like, how can I find something that fits me that's going to be even more low maintenance, to be honest?
And it
So,
really is. Yeah, it really is pretty low maintenance. I mean, all I do is a little bit of blow drying, air dry foam, which is not the thick, crunchy mousse. We need to specify this. There is a difference. And yo,
yes.
I did not know about this difference in this product until I started using it myself for my own hair. I was like, that was my biggest worry. I was like, I'm gonna buy this can and it's gonna be crunchy, and my hair is gonna look like Angelica from the Rugrats, trying to repair Cynthia's hair, but also match Cynthia's hair because she's obsessed with Cynthia. I know, I'm a 90s kid.
No,
But so it it just felt heavy when you do the mousse and the scrunching like we did in school. And I was like, air dry foam, please tell me that it's not going to be this. Please tell me it's not going to be this. And it's not. Is that a key part to, or a key product, I guess I should say, in what you use for your hair?
I've played around a little bit with some of the different mousses. I am okay if it's like the crunchy mousse, only because
Oh, okay.
out so it's not so like scrunchy. I need it more for like hold. Otherwise, my hair kind of is a little less like defined and frizzy. So I think the secret there. But what I do like about the mousse is that helps with like some volume,
Yes.
especially trying to like get some oomph here in your crown layers. So yeah, I mean for me it's just like finding, it's a lot of trial and error of like what is the perfect cocktail.
Hmm.
Um that kind of works for your hair. And then I think beyond product, I think a lot of it is technique as well too. So like how are you applying it? When are you applying it? Like are you one of those people who applies your product in the shower, or do you apply your product when you get out of the shower? There's so much that you
There
can kind of,
is.
yeah.
There is. You mentioned something a little bit earlier, and I think our curly haired baddies listening might appreciate this. What is curly girl method? What that you
Yeah,
mentioned?
it I'm not some lady wrote a book on it. That's where it started from me.
Wow.
And you can Google it, but really honestly, I learned way more from just following different people on various just different platforms, because you can kind of see more of how to do your hair, what products to use, how to apply it. Like I said, more of the technique. But the gist of it is that like you're not washing your hair. There's so many rules with curly girl, and that's why I said that was like the starting point, but that's not
Mm,
really what I follow anymore. That was more of like the enlightening point of, oh, I didn't know if I do X, Y, and Z that could benefit my hair, but it's like not washing your hair with like harsh sulfates. I think it's even not using a hairbrush, which like I use a hairbrush. It's drying your hair on low speed with like cool air and not using high heat. Um, I feel like those are kind of like the main gist of it. But then from there, it was like, okay, how can I learn more about the techniques? And like I said, trying different shampoos and conditioners and just different like um, gels or mousses, like you said, or different balms. So like that was kind of like, okay, I think I need to cut out X, Y, and Z, because this is maybe all the stuff that's damaging my hair and not
mm,
benefiting it. Maybe it's feeling like very frizzy, or like we're in day 3, so we're feeling pretty a little not fresh today, but like I really seen my waves come more to life by
yes.
cutting some of these products. And when I look at where was my hair maybe like 4 or 5 years ago versus where it is today, it's like I didn't believe that I had that capability within my natural hair underneath, all of that, by just cutting out some of the harsher chemicals in shampoos and in some of the like the styling products.
Okay, cool. And do you just in general maybe ask like your stylist at home or whatever what products work for your hair, or are there any good spots that you might know of that would help somebody find might what work for their hair type?
Yeah. My stylist is super helpful. And if you're looking to venture into the shag haircut, I will say one, I literally found my stylist on Instagram by just Googling like the closest big city to me and looking
Oh
like
yeah.
San Antonio.
Okay.
And I found my stylist in my salon. And then from there, she's really introduced me to a couple of different brands, which at first I was like, I don't know if this is going to work for me. I should always trust your stylist, ladies, like for real.
Yes.
Um, she has turned me on to some really good brands that have been my favorite. But then, like I said, honestly, it's just been connecting with other people on Instagram is where I've kind of found some stuff. So, yeah, finding what works best for you, I would say. And I can give you like, I'm going to feel like on the spot right now. I can't think of all of the
It's okay.
accounts follow that have been really, really great inspiration, because they'll show you different hair types, because some people have super, super thick hair, some people have thin hair, some people have, there's different waves, coily hair, curly hair, and all of the product just kind of works a little bit differently with different hair. So honestly, it's been a lot of trial and error, but trust your
That
style.
yeah, that's the secret. Keep going, ask your stylist, keep experimenting, and that's how you find out what works. What do you think made shag haircuts trendy again?
I don't know. I think it was just like, I feel the older I get, and you will know this because you said like you were a 90s kid as well, right? Like
Mhm.
I feel like fashion comes around every 20-ish years. So
Yes.
yeah. So I think we were kind of due for a little throwback for like the 70s kind of vibe. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think when it came to hair, we're seeing a lot of like 70s stuff become super popular, and then a lot of like the 90s layering coming back as well too.
Yeah, love a good 90s layer. I did have Rachel when I was a kid,
Me
and
too.
oh yeah, I did. But the problem is I had the straight across bangs too. And they were, I mean, these were not the cute bangs, like they were the straight across, no texture to them, no differentiation. They were like, "Meh,"
The
like
straight
just
glow.
yeah, they were screaming at you like, "Hello, I'm here. Hi." And it was not cute, but I guess that was an easy cut to keep up with. Well, hair is certainly not the only thing that you do or that you post about. You promote rewearing things and mixing up stuff that is in your own closet. So why is that message important to you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think, by day, my paycheck depends on I work retail for real life. So I think, a lot of the stigma within the retail culture, but then I think we're constantly getting bombarded, whether we're scrolling of like consume, consume, consume. And, I'll be the first to say, like, I'm a recovering shopaholic, like,
Mm,
especially work retail. Every day you would go into a store or every day you'd go into work and be like, well, this is new and this is cute. And when I look back, it's like you spent all this money on all this clothes and like, what was that really for? Or were you just buying stuff just because it's cute? So I think for me, it started with like really looking at myself in the mirror and being like, do you just really need all of these clothes? Like, you don't. And I realized that like half the shit in my closet I did not wear. So
yeah.
then more of how do I kind of normalize rewearing things? And I think for me, and I think I built this up in my head that like I didn't want to go into a store for work and oh my God, are they going to remember what I wore the last time I was here? Or like wear the same thing more than once? And that's
Oh,
so crazy to think about, like really, truly. So for me, it became more of a challenge of like, okay, girl, you got to put your shopping habits in check. And
mm,
then how do you get creative with the wardrobe that you do have and make more smarter purchases so you're feeling like you have more within your closet and that you have more options versus feeling like oh crap, I constantly have to feel like oh I have this event or oh I have this meeting or oh I have whatever x y and z, you name it, you feel that need
hmm,
of like I need to buy something new, but like
right.
do you? So I think for me it started off as more of a challenge personally and then just kind of trying to share that out there. I notice a lot of people that I do work with really do believe, yeah, I'll see their holds in at the store, like in the hold closet. I'm like, do you really need to buy? Like, I don't want to be like a mom and be like, do you really need that? Just because I'm on that journey does not mean everyone else, subscribes to that radio program. But yeah, I think that's where it kind of started was just like, girl, you need to like look at yourself and do you need to be spending money previously on just like all this random stuff. So
That's right. Keep it in check, because Mama Stina is going to come and she's going to let you know. She,
yeah.
but no, I've been there before too. I mean, particularly when we saw the big initial popularity of Instagram. I mean, we still use it now, but when it first hit 5, 6, 7 years ago, we'll say, then I think a lot of us felt like, oh, if we're posting a new picture every day, we need a new outfit every day. And I was one of the people that was so guilty of like, okay, I need a different look for a different picture. And it's like, but why? Also,
Exactly.
what happened was I got an electric bill and I was like, I need to pay this. So
Right.
that is also what happened. Like, dude, I'm so compulsive like that. If I could have more tattoos, I would. But that's literally what I tell myself is like, you want to get your groceries this week, or do you want a $200 or $300 tattoo? Let's do groceries.
No, 100%. I'm definitely there as well.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the easiest ways to rewear what's already in your closet?
For me, like I outfit plan. So like I sit down
Yes.
at of the week and say, okay. And this some people might call me crazy. And I just jot it down in my planner. I have no like secret app or anything that I use. Honestly, I jot it down my planner. What's the weather going to be like? Where am I at? Because I travel a lot for work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, plan out my outfits for the week. I think where I've really been challenging myself more for like the remixing is when it comes to travel. Like I travel so much for work. So, I want to be able to pack my hair dryer and all the toiletries and
Yes.
so for me, it was like, okay, how do I minimize the amount of space that I'm packing in my suitcase? And like, what can I rewear and remix? And that's where it really started was like, okay, challenge yourself on a 4-day work trip. How can you remix here? And then from there, it kind of grew into, all right, now I feel more confident with on a smaller scale. How do I apply this to maybe my whole closet? And this month, I'm
Mm.
really excited because I'm challenging myself to pick 30 items from like all clothes, including accessories, and only wear those 30 items for the month of February. So this is really going to be the true like test. Can I really remix, rematch, rewear, and feel like I have all of the options in the world? So more to come on that. I'll report back how that goes.
No, I love that. And by the time this comes out, we'll be able to take a look and see what you've done and
Ooh,
see how that goes. But so when you're packing for a trip, because I get yelled at by my lovely, lovely husband. I love him. He's sitting right here, but he's in his own world gaming. So I get yelled at all the time because he thinks I pack too much. So what do you do when you're like, I'm trying to minimize space, but I'm trying to stay stylish at the same time?
yeah. I mean, I think the first thing is like list out, like have a plan of what you're going to wear. I have been in the past notorious for being the overpacker and being like, well, I mean, what if I don't want to wear that? Like sometimes what helps for bigger trips, try on those outfits before you actually pack and make sure they fit. Make sure you feel comfortable in them, that they'll work. So that's helped. Um, and then planning it out. And then for me, I have like I said in my planner, I have a master list of all of the things that because I travel so often, of what I need to bring. So then it almost becomes a little bit of like I can go into like autopilot when I pack because I already
Mm.
have this default of like, all right, here's my like checklist that I have to make sure that I don't forget to bring anything. I think other things that really have helped, I mean, girl, get yourself some of those packing cubes on Amazon and roll that shit up and pack it. And like that really helps with saving space as well, too. I'm proud that like when I take these big trips or at least like a week long, I can pack a carry-on and I still have multiple outfits in there because I've planned strategically, right? Of like what can I remix and rewear. Um, so yeah, I would say that's probably planning, get ahead of it, make sure that you feel good in what you're going to wear, especially if it's a big trip to avoid some of that like overpacking.
Okay. If you ever do a reel on like using the packing cube, and this is how I do it, I'm gonna be your
Ooh,
first like, I'm gonna be your first watch. I'm just gonna tell you because I would
that,
love to learn.
no, that's a really good idea. Okay, so I'm going to have to share all of my travel tips. That's a good idea. Coming in February, we'll do some sort of travel reel.
Yeah, or packing for it and like how not to overpack and how to keep it together. Back to rewearing things though.
Yeah.
What I like to do when I'm wearing something again and restyling it or trying it out with different, maybe a different blazer over top or maybe different loafers instead or whatever. Like I think another way that you can restyle things is with accessories. You kind of do that a little bit too? I noticed like with your belts and your handbags, that in itself can make an outfit look new. Do you have other ideas on how to make an outfit look new?
No, I mean, you're 100% correct. I think when you look at bags and shoes, those are the number one easiest way to totally change a whole vibe of a look. You can tone it down by like wearing white sneakers, Vans. You can wear like Docs to make it feel a little bit more casual. Or if you're trying to go for more of an elevated look, then is it flats? Is it loafers? Like you said, maybe some heels depending on the occasion. So I think when I'm trying to jazz things up, accessories is like the first place I go. Then I would say like just maybe switching out. Like, do you have that base item that's really like your pop? So maybe it's like a plaid blazer or a different color like cardigan or something. So maybe it's switching
Mm.
out under layers. Maybe it's like a band tee, then maybe it's like a basic tee or a tank top. So I look for like staples that I can mix and match maybe underneath these like bolder items. And let like that jacket or that cool fun pair of pants or something really be the all star of the outfit, and then maybe it's like those layering pieces those basics, those shoes, those accessories kind of help complement or change the vibe of the look.
Totally. And I appreciate this conversation because it gets us thinking about like how to be more financially conscious too. I mean, we love sustainability. We love it for, the environmental purposes, and we're talking a lot about it more. And I'm very grateful for those conversations. But we don't talk enough about like protecting our own finances here either. You
You posted about that, like, I feel like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, yes, girl. Like,
know,
we like I think, we get caught up in that culture of like consume, consume, consume. And like you said, wanting to constantly show new, new, new. But at the end of the day, we got bills to pay. How many of us have like a savings account we're proud of? Like shit
I don't.
happened, Yeah, same. Like I think that was also one of the things coming out of the pandemic that I was just like, I was very, very fortunate to come out of that situation. I still had a job. I wasn't, I was only furloughed for 2 weeks, but I think that really put things into perspective of like, girl, you got to have that safety net. Where does all your money go? Clothes. Is that going to pay your, going to put food in your mouth at the end of the day? Like, can you live out of a tent made out of your clothes? No, you can't. So,
No.
I think that was kind of one of the first, like, honestly, like for real moments where I was like, okay, something has to change. And I think you're right too. Like, there's so many great brands out there that are promoting sustainability, working with different fabrics, working with fair working conditions. Like, there's so much. But I think also part of that conversation is too, like, some of that stuff might be out of the price range for the average person. And while, like, yes, there's some really fantastic brands that I really want to support, but like, I can't justify paying $200 for a t-shirt or a
No,
dress. Like,
yeah.
not in my budget. So then I think that was the other thing too, where I had that stigma in my head of like, well, am I really supporting sustainability if I'm not supporting X, Y, and Z brands? And I had to look at like what was controllable within my own financial, like my wallet. And that was like, you need to rewear your clothes more. So I think that kind of helped with my mindset too. And that's not to say that those who support those brands and like shop with companies that are fully sustainable, if I could afford that, and when I can, I do try to shop more sustainable brands and sprinkle those items into my closet, because 9 times out of 10 they are made out of better quality, they are going to last longer, right, than your typical going to like your fashion retailer at the mall. Like, that may be only that item you purchase for 20-30 dollars might only last you a season or two, when it comes to looking at it. So I think it's also just being honest with yourself of like what fits in your own personal budget, and like there's not a one size all. You can still be sustainable and not spend $200 on, pieces of clothing too.
Well, yeah, we forget that reducing our consumption or choosing not to consume for a period of time at all is still very sustainable. Like, we're
Hmm.
still part of that movement just by doing that. So it pays to be mindful of that. And I'm glad we're talking about it. What's next for you? What can we look forward to from you?
Oh, great question. I mean, I think for me, I'm honestly just looking at building my community more. Like, how do I continue to connect authentically, inspire others? I think this, platform is such a, like I said, creative outlet for me. So I need it to be able to feel whole, for
Mm-hmm.
myself personally. So I think continuing to build my community, connect with others is something that I really hope to drive this year. And then, I'd like to work with some brands and kind of collaborate a little bit more outside of just people. How can I collaborate with brands as well? So I think that's really kind of my goals for this year. They're pretty simple.
That's, what, simple is a lot of the time best, because sometimes when you get too detailed, it just becomes a lot. It's doing the most. And it's like, you know what? We're going to keep this a little bit vague, because I hate getting disappointed. Everybody doesn't like to be disappointed. And when we don't hit like this exact whatever we put out there, like New Year's resolutions, people are like, I want to lose exactly 30 pounds. And then what happens when you don't? You feel shitty about yourself. You don't
Yeah.
need that. We don't have time for that. So we could just say, you know what? I want to be healthy and I want to make sure I'm active. That's how we could redo that. So, yes, for you to say, I just want to grow my community instead of I want X amount of followers. healthy. I applaud you for that. Stina, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so
Oh,
much for being here. I can't wait to look forward to it all.
oh, thank you, Val, for having me. And it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. We should totally do this again and connect more like virtually. This has been great.
We will, for sure. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, girl. Have a good night.